All right, so at the time of this recording, the Bucks just got kind of blasted by the Raptors, losing by 19. They're now 2-2 on the season. It's not really the end of the world, but considering the expectations they had coming into this year, definitely not a good start. You can tell that they're really struggling to find a rhythm between Giannis, Dame, and Chris Middleton on offense, which was kind of to be expected. But before I get really deep into this, I know this content is a little different than what I usually do, but I just figured I'd throw my hand in on a little more reactionary content. But if you like this format and are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by the halfway point of the NBA season, and really any help with that would be very appreciated. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Both Dame and Middleton have been pretty bad to start the season. Chris Middleton did miss a second game of the year and has been recovering from an off-season surgery, but even then, he's only played around 17 minutes a game, and in these minutes, he's looked really bad. He's averaging like 7 a game on 36% from the field and 22% from 3, and watching these games, you can really tell he's struggling to find his place on this offense with Dame at point guard, and it's going to take him some time to adjust and fully recover, so I'm not totally worried, but again, with the way he's playing, it's a very bad start to the season, and with how the Bucks are looking, he's not doing them any favors. Speaking of Dame, he's also been pretty bad to start the year. I won't say bad, I'll say more inconsistent. He had 39 points in his debut, but followed it with 6, then 25, and most recently against the Raptors had 15 and only took 9 shots. I believe Malik Beasley outshot him this game, which shout out Malik Beasley. I'm a big fan of him, but if he's taking more shots than Damian Lillard, there's a very real problem with your offense. Overall in the season, though, Lillard's averaging 21 a game on 40% from the field and 29% from 3 on 8 attempts. And considering that they traded for him, expecting to be a massive upgrade over Drew Holiday, the fact that he hasn't been is really concerning. Like, not only is Dame a massive downgrade on defense like we all expected him to be, but honestly, the gap between them offensively, I'd say right now to start the season, Drew has been the better offensive player, at least on paper, looking at them statistically. Is Dame going to be the better offensive player by the end of the season? No doubt in my mind about that. But right now, not looking good. And the worries surrounding the Bucks defense when you replace Drew with Dame, they're looking to be pretty legit right now. Through the first 5 games, they have the 28th ranked defensive rating, which it's a really small sample size. So like at the end of the day, it could turn things around, but it shows that their defense overall is the reason for their lack of success, especially considering that they just gave up 130 points to the Raptors. And all due respect to the Raptors, a team like the Bucks should not really be losing to Toronto, let alone giving up 130 points. I will say both Giannis and Brook Lopez have played up to their par, except for tonight. They really both didn't play well, especially Brook. He was 1 of 8. Giannis wasn't necessarily bad, but he also wasn't good by any means. And goes back to a point I made before. The Bucks' leading scorer was Malik Beasley. And again, all due respect to Malik Beasley, I've always been a big believer in him. If you have a team of Giannis, Damian Lillard, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, and Malik Beasley is your leading scorer, there is a pretty big problem. I will say, though, from a statistical standpoint, the team in general has played very well offensively. It's just the main issue is that Dame and Middleton haven't been showing up. Their first win on the season was a 1-point victory against the Sixers, and then they followed it up by losing to the Hawks by 17, beat the Heat, and then got blasted by the Raptors. And almost all of their issues to start the season goes back to their defense. Offensively, they've been fine. They have the 11th ranked offensive rating, the 7th best effective field goal percentage in the NBA. But when you have a bottom 3 defense, none of that is going to matter. And that's what concerns me the most. The Bucks still have a top 10 offense in the NBA, despite Middleton and Dame playing very poorly. But their defense, even with Giannis and Brook Lopez, has still been very bad. And it kind of goes to show how important Drew Holiday was to this core despite his offensive shortcomings. They really don't have a very good guard defender, and while it's going to work out offensively, a Dame and Malik Beasley front court is like makes me want to throw up to think about on defense. Giannis and Brook, they're going to and can keep doing what they're doing, but when you have 2 traffic cones in the backcourt, there's not much more that they can do to fix the offense. I mean, for fuck's sake, Dennis Schroeder just dropped 24 and 11, which just can't happen. Schroeder's a fine player, and I'm not saying Drew Holiday would have completely shut him down or anything, because when he gets hot, he's very hot. But having Dame or Malik Beasley guarding him is not going to do any favors. And with that in mind, I kind of expect the Bucks to potentially be active in the trade market early on for a better guard defender. Maybe they'll bring in a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. Who knows at this point? It's only 4 games into the season, but I think a lot of us saw these defensive problems before the year even started. But hopefully we'll see them improve on defense, because if not, it could be a pretty rough season. It's going to take time for them to really fully mesh on offense. And when Dame finally clicks into this new system and Middleton begins to find his groove, there's a real chance that the Bucks have the best offense in the league. And this was kind of the expectation for this team, as they have 2 guys who just averaged 30 plus points a game last season, alongside 2 very versatile offensive players in Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. But with that being said, they have to figure it out defensively. I'm sure once Middleton is back and getting his usual minutes, they're going to see a bit of a boost on defense. But even then, is it really going to be enough for the Bucks to have sustainable success on that side of the ball? Again, I kind of expect them to be active in the trade market if they continue to struggle on defense. I could see someone potentially like a Pat Connaughton getting moved, especially with how good Malik Beasley has looked to start the year. I will say the Bucks do have a pretty easy schedule coming up. They play the Knicks, Nets, Pistons, Pacers, and Magic in their next 5, so I'm sure they're going to prove me wrong pretty quick. Regardless, I could still see teams like the Knicks and Pacers dropping a ton of points based on how elite the 2 teams' guard play is compared to the Bucks' more perimeter defense. But with that being said, I'm going to cut it off here. Let me know what you think the Bucks could do to solve these problems, and if you like this type of content, down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.